I'm going to ask you a few fan questions that are watching this right now.
All right.
One of them wants to know about your time in Australia before you were signed by WWE.
Time in Australia.
Yeah.
I was never in Australia before I was signed with
Okay.
WWE.
I
Never,
guess.
never.
I guess
First
the.
time I ever went there was in about 19, I believe it was 1987, and I went over on a tour, and we did the whole Australia, and I think we went down to Brisbane, Melbourne, Adelaide, Sydney, Launceston, uh, all around those Tasmania, the islands around there. We were down there, and I was on a tour. Me and Junkyard Dog was on that one, and I think Tiger Tiger Chin Lee. I think he was on there. And I'm trying to think. AJ Petrucci was on that card, and I'm trying to think who else was on there. Gama Singh was on there, and that was a lot of fun. That was the only time I'd been to Australia on that one, and that was like maybe a 3 week to almost 4 week tour. So
Why did you never turn heel?
it just never interested me because I just didn't see a down home hillbilly Jim character, a good old boy with a song like "Don't Go Messing with a Country Boy Dancing." I just didn't think there was any room and no wiggle room in there for me to turn heel. And even though I know it would have been a lot of fun being a heel, because all the heels seem to enjoy doing that, I just figured, look, I better do this babyface thing here, because Hillbilly Jim is the kind of a guy that little kids like, and I don't want little kids being disappointed with my deal and being upset at me. And I wanted to sell merchandise like action figures and different types of board games and whatever it is merchandising that they had on me, cards and all this stuff that they had. And it just seemed like it wasn't a good fit for me. I kind of liked the horse that I came in on, and I just kind of wanted to stay with. That's why I stayed with the company all these years, guys, as well. I had the opportunity to go to a lot of other different companies and work in a lot of different other places, but I didn't want to go do that because I just felt like, man, I'll be taking a back seat if I do, and I'll be going backwards. So,
Who was your favorite of the hillbillies that you worked with out of all your stables, the Godwins and your first original ones in WWE?
well, of course, the Godwins, they were more management things. Me, I'm real partial to the one we call Cousin Junior, Lanny Kane. That's the one that, guy that kind of broke me in because he was such a good one, and he was. I guess that maybe that was kind of he was a friend too, and I thought he was just excellent at what he did. Man, he seemed more like a hillbilly than anybody else. Him and Elmer actually together just were perfect hillbillies. I mean, and we all three. That was a pretty good deal. And I can't really say anything bad about Gene Lewis. God bless him too. But I think my favorite one with Elmer and Gene had to be Cousin Junior. We just kind of like clicked a little better.
Have you ever hooked up with a diva or woman wrestler?
Oh, I don't know. Actually, when we were back in the time when I was there, in my actual time when I was on the standard rotation in the company, full time wrestling, we didn't have too many lady wrestlers on the cards. If you remember, we'd have people like coming in and out like Moolah and Wendy Richter, a few people like that. But there really weren't any quote unquote divas until I started coming back around with the Godwins, and a lot of the girls started coming in then. So I just know it. And by that time, they were young girls, and they had just nothing I wanted to do. I already had my own private life.
And
Good question though.
someone asks, they really liked your relationship with Mean Gene on
Yeah,
camera.
me
Do you
too.
have anything to say about
I
that?
miss him and I think about him and I've had a lot of laughs with him. Probably the greatest thing was the laughs that we had off camera that you never got to see, and some of the things we talk about in passing because I think that Gene got my hillbilly character real well, and I think I got along well with Gene because he was just funny, and he would he and I we had a couple little buzzwords we'd say that we'd start back on a thing. The same thing it was with the late Bobby Heenan. We had a couple. I used to call him, and I miss it tremendously. On a personal note, I miss calling him at Christmas. because he ain't here, you know.
How did Piper and Pat Patterson get along behind the scenes in Legends House? And
Oh,
his
they were wonderful.
yeah,
The only heat on that whole house, in the whole house, was Tony Addison and Hacksaw. You know, they got into a little tiff a time or two, and we had to kind of smooth that over because, you know, I think it was something these guys had had for years, and they just kind of like, you know, there's just some people that are kind of like gasoline and fire. You know, and they didn't necessarily not get along, but sometimes they would clash. But there was no problem with Pat and Oakland and him just hung out. They liked to play cards all the time. Throw in Howard Finkel, God bless Howard too. Howard would get in there and they'd do their things, and Jimmy Hart and I would just kind of roam around. And Duggan and Piper kind of bonded. So me and Jimmy were buddies. We were roomies in there, and me, I just wanted to go out and work out all the time and have fun. It's a beautiful house we were at, and we get outside and we try to play tennis. That was a real frightening scene, but I enjoyed that time on Legends House. I'm one of the guys that actually told them. They asked if we'd do it again. I said, you know, I'd do it again, but I don't think Pat would. At the time, Pat didn't want to do it again, and neither would Gene. But you know what? As that show ended, on the last day when we were getting ready to break it up and everybody was going back and we were going to see each other, there was a lot of sentimental thing going on there. It was weird. Even Piper, I could see Roddy was missing that because he felt. I guess it was. You know, here's the deal: we had all known each other for years, right? But we really never spent any time with each other. Now I'm gonna tell you, brother, when you spend a month in a house or in a house situation with these guys, you get to know them pretty good. You get to really understand them a little more. Now, usually I just see them on the road or I just see them at TV, and that's just for a minute. So you just see what you see, and you don't even really know the guy. But after you spend some time, me and Roddy, we got along well. I got to know him in a way I never didn't know him before, and got to see him, you know, and got to be around the guys. It was a great situation. I mean, I think all the guys, even the ones that had said they would never do it again, they were kind of having second thoughts about it the last day we did that. So
any stories on Rick Rude?
lots of stories on Rick Rude. I mean, Rick was something else. Remember one time we wrestled in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, right? And me and Rick had to wrestle because, you know, I'm hillbilly, and Rick Rude is like anti-hillbilly, right? The looks and everything. You know, he's a pretty boy, he's a stripper kind of guy, you know. And we were doing our match, and you know, we were having a good little match, and so somehow or another, Rick threw some kind of punch at me or something. And when he did, his elbow, boom, come through and it caught me right here, that little spot temple. And it stung like hornets, a bunch of hornets. And I said, that's going to bring something. It's got to.